Hey everyone, my name is Tom Haupt. I'm a certified functional strength coach, and I had an idea today that I wanted to share with you. It's utilizing ChatGPT as a nutrition coach. This will not replace a real nutrition coach. This is a way to get started with a low barrier of entry. So let's dive into it and I'll show you what I came up with. Now, I have a prompt that I engineered, which is just a fancy way of saying I messed around with ChatGPT enough until I got the output that I was looking for. Essentially, you take this same prompt and plug it into your ChatGPT instance, or if you want to use Gemini or Perplexity or any of the other ones, please feel free to use that. It should work there as well. And it is going to capture information about you, age, height, gender, etc., so that it can calculate your macros and your calories based on whatever your goals are, and then you can utilize it to track your nutrition throughout the day. I've found that Macro Factor and MyFitnessPal, as great as they are and as accurate as they can be, it's still a bit of a pain in the butt because some days I'm feeling motivated to weigh and measure my food. I'm feeling disciplined to weigh and measure my food, and I can bear with the friction of entering each of those items into those various nutrition tracking apps. But other days I don't feel like doing that. And I just want to say I had 2 eggs, bread, and a slice of butter on top of that. And that's all I want to say it, right? Like maybe that's all the motivation or discipline I can muster that day because life happens and we're not robots. We're not disciplined 100% of the time. So I wanted to try to capture that gap and find a way to make this, like I said, a low barrier of entry and low friction way of doing this. So with this prompt, when you're giving it the macros that when you're giving it the food that you ate, you can be as specific or as general as you want. You don't have to pick one or the other or just not track it all because you get frustrated with it. So let's dive into this. Here's the prompt. I'll put this into the comment section and or the description, depending on where I post this, and we'll walk through this together. So it is a longer prompt. If you end up having any troubles with this down the road, just go through here and see what it's saying. You might need to re-engineer it for your specific use case or situation. Find myself talking in corporate a little too much. So because it's a longer prompt, it'll take a little bit to update and go through. Now, if you're on desktop, or I guess even if you're on mobile, you can just capture this information, right? What it wants you to input in these 10 items here. It's a lot easier on desktop. Okay, so I've taken that, I've placed it into the prompt box here, and I'll go ahead and fill this information out with my information. So age 32, height 6'2", weight 215 pounds, gender a male, activity level. So this is where you can start to get as specific or as general as you want to. You can take one of these recommendations, lightly active, just tell it that, or you can describe your activity level a little bit more to it. So I'm going to do both. I'll say I am moderately active, which is accurate, and then I'm going to give it a little bit more information. If there's ever a time to give it too much information, it's while you're going through this, because while you're going through this intake, because it's going to prove a better calculator if you choose to have it calculate your macros and calories for you. So moderately active, I sit for my 9 to 5 job each day. I get a 1 mile walk in most days, and I work out, lifting weights and cardio 6 days a week. Not every week. Okay, most weeks. I try to get to the gym every day, but all right, so let's be a little bit more realistic there. 5 days a week. Dietary preference. I am an omnivore. One of those weird ones these days. So it's asking this dietary preference because part of this prompt is to give it suggestions at the end of each day or each couple of days on where you could improve. And that's either in the form of the macronutrients, but it's also tracking the micronutrients in the background. So if you're going through and after a couple of days, it sees that you're low in iron, for example. It'll say, hey, I know you noticed that you're running low in iron. I recommend that you up your leafy green intake or up your ribeye intake, right? And if you're a vegetarian, then hopefully it won't prompt you to eat ribeye, right? Because that doesn't make any sense. Now, this is just a caveat, right? This is not perfect. This is a better than nothing approach to tracking macros. And again, hopefully a low friction as well. I'd be interested to hear from you if you give it a go, if it is a low friction option. Okay, so omnivore, allergies or intolerance. I don't do well with dairy. Gives me the toots. Health and fitness goals. For me, it is maintain weight and build muscle. Okay, so this part, if you already have for daily macronutrient target, this is a breakdown of your protein, carbs, and fats in grams. If you already have that from a nutritionist, or you've used an online calculator, or you have them from using MyFitnessPal in the past, feel free to use them, right? You can just give a breakdown right here of what those are, or you can say, please calculate them for me. And it will do that with the information that you've given it. And the reason it asks for a time zone is that so it can give you a daily summary at the end of the day. And that should kick in after 6 p.m. So if you eat after that, it might kick in a little too early. You can just ask it again for your daily summary if you want that. So I've provided all the information here. I will load this. Now again, this is going to take a couple of seconds. It should be a little quicker than the initial prompt. Part of it's going to come down to how fast your computer is, how fast the internet speed is, etc. Okay, we have our output now. So daily caloric needs for me to maintain my weight and build muscle comes down to approximately 2,900 calories per day. Protein, 215 grams. That's the rule of thumb there for 1 gram per pound of body weight. Calories, 320 grams. Fats, 85 grams. Now, when it comes to entering your meals, you can be as specific as you want or as broad as you want. So let's start with broad and then we can get more specific. I had 4 eggs, 2 slices of bread, and some butter on that bread. And it's going to take that and it's going to give you its best guess at the breakdown of the various macronutrients. So it will do that per food group essentially, right? So per eggs here, the protein, the fat, the carbohydrates, and the calories. It will do that for each of those. It'll give you a meal total, how many grams of protein, how many grams of fat for the entire meal. And then it will remind you of your progress so far. So how many grams of protein you've eaten so far. This will update after you enter lunch, for example, or a snack. So you can see where you're getting close, where you're not, right? So I'm pretty far away from carbs at this point. Off to a strong start. Nice little positive reinforcement there. Okay, now let's talk about lunch. And we'll go to the other end of the spectrum here. We'll get really specific. For lunch, I had 6 ounces of skinless chicken breasts. I had 1 cup of brown steamed rice. And I had 8 florets. That's pretty close. Of broccoli. And we'll call it there. So we were a lot more specific. Say for breakfast, I'm just waking up. I'm not really feeling like I want to weigh and measure my food. I didn't tell it for the breakfast meal. I didn't tell it what brand of bread I ate specifically, or I didn't weigh out the butter. So it took a good guess. For lunch, I had all of these weighed out. I told it the specific type of food that I ate, the way it was prepared. Right, I could have gotten a little bit more. I could have said, I steamed the broccoli or whatever. But again, this is just a quick demo here. So again, a breakdown of each of the different foods, a breakdown of that specific meal, and then the updated progress for the day to show you, all right, now I've hit 91 grams of the 215 grams of protein. Same for fat and carbs. Calories, it's there as well. If you hit all of the macros perfectly, then you'll have the calories here perfectly as well. And then let's say something in the middle. I had so instead of being overly specific, as in weighing and measuring on one side, or instead of being very broad, just 2 slices of bread, I had a palm-sized portion of ribeye, half a sweet potato, and a handful of spinach. Again, we get the breakdown of each of the different foods we ate there. It's guessed based on the information we gave it. Now, this is going to be a little bit more accurate than breakfast was because we were a little bit more accurate in our portion size. So this is that classic, you get out of it what you put into it. The nice thing is, you know, you have the choice to be specific for a meal or a day, weigh and measure everything, and then maybe life gets in the way and all you have time for, all you can think about is just like 4 eggs, bread, some butter, right? And everything in between. So it allows you to be flexible with how disciplined or motivated you are. We have our end of day breakdown. I had 1,485 calories of the 29 I needed. That's only about 50%. Same thing for the protein, about 50% of what I needed there, 121 grams out of 215 grams. Fat, I got a lot closer, 61 grams of 85 grams I needed, and carbs, 93 grams of 320 I needed. Now, it was tracked silently today. That's a funny way to put it. So with the prompt that I'm going to put into the description and or comments, it's tracking the micronutrients in the background. I talked about this towards the beginning of the video. So now we can see, all right, today I had a good amount of iron, vitamin A and C, magnesium, potassium, choline, B vitamin, and I was a bit low on calcium, vitamin D, and fiber. This is where you can come in and adjust it to how you want it to be. If you don't care about this micronutrient part at all, you can just say, I don't care about the micronutrients. Don't show that to me again. And the prompt will update itself, and keep that in mind going forward. Cool. Give this a go. Let me know how it goes. Adjust the prompt to what suits you as you want it. You can always come back to this video if you forgot where you put it, and grab the prompt again and throw it in. I'd be really interested to see if other people could add on to this or adjust it so it's more broadly applicable or maybe specific for some given use case I haven't thought about. Let me know in the comments. If you do adjust it and get it to a way that you like it, put that prompt for everyone else to use, right? We're here to help each other out. My last tip here, I'll say second to last, is adjusting the name of this. So we'll rename this to Macro Coach. And now it's easily identifiable in the conversations that we have going with this. Each time that you enter something into this specific conversation, this will be brought back up to the top so you can access it easily. If you are going to use ChatGPT or any of the other AI bots out there, I would recommend getting the app on your phone instead of using the interface through the browser. It's just going to take a little bit of that friction away. If you do give it a shot on Gemini or Perplexity or wherever, let me know how it goes there. I'm just most familiar with ChatGPT. Finally, and this is a caveat I put at the beginning, this is not to replace a nutritionist or a registered dietitian. If you're in a place where you really need them, go see them. If you're in a place where you're interested in checking out macros, or maybe you have a background like me, I've tracked macros for decades at this point, and I'm getting sick of doing them. So I'm trying to find a different way to do it. And I figured this might be it. If you have success or failures or whatever, just let me know. And if you have, again, any other tips. Thank you all for watching, and I'll be interested to hear how this goes for you. Thank you.